Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in here to a very special Saturday Murder Church. I think this may be the first ever Saturday Murder Church, if I'm not mistaken. We've got a special guest back here. We got Hella from Excited Utterance. She's going to be hanging out talking a little bit of Bryan Kohberger. We're going to be watching the motion hearing and going over some of the IGG, some of the genetic genealogy stuff that Hella is really into. And she knows a lot more about this than me. And she's going to help me understand this as we kind of watch this and literally just give our opinions and bullshit. Bring those to the chat. I want to make sure everybody in this chat brings their opinions as well. And yeah, share that on X. Give it a like and let's rock.
Let's rock.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in here. I see Botrick didn't wake up. Let me go and try to wake her up real quick. Like I said before, if you could give this the old share, I'd appreciate that. That lets some folks know. And if you tickle the like button, YouTube likes that as well. Like I said, I got Hella back here. As anybody that's probably following me knows, probably for the past few years, Bryan Kohberger, Idaho 4, that's really what got me into this entire space. I haven't covered this thoroughly for quite some time. I'm trying to jump back in, trying to, get my feet wet back into it, if you will. And Hella is all over this one as well. And without further ado, let's get our special guest in here and rock and roll. What's up, Hella?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. It's Sunday morning here. So
Dude.
Happy Sunday morning.
So at least we know Sunday is coming.
Well,
the world seems to be ending around us.
It did. I know, right? What's going on?
Bro.
Like planes are falling out of the sky and stuff.
Dude, I have no clue, man. I was about to go live last night when that shit popped off. I was like, I literally screamed into my fiance. It's like, there's another crazy plane crash.
What's happening? It's scary.
It is scary. I really don't know, man. Like, I'm a conspiracy guy, as you know. Like, I go down some crazy holes, but how can you not at this point, right? Like,
phrasing.
But yeah, hell, I'm glad you came in here. Everybody in the chat, I see some fine folks in here. I will be trying to keep an eye out tonight for the possibility of, we're going to be doing a will. We were rocking on that last night. If anybody was in here for Feral Friday, I'll be shouting you guys out as that happens. And but the first ever, I think the first, I may be mistaken, but I think this is the first murder church on a Saturday, Hella.
Okay, sorry, it's Sunday. Yeah, right, okay.
Dude, I'm gonna, I'll bet that totally fucks with you.
You're confusing me.
Oh my God. She's actually almost technically live for a real murder church, my time, except your time.
Yeah.
Like a Sunday night.
It's church time. It's
Whoa.
8 a.m.
So you're actually, for your time, you're perfect for a murder church, dude.
I should be at church, but I'm here with you.
I love that.
So how do you feel?
That. So yeah, Hella, you've been diving deep into Kohberger for a few months now.
A while. Yeah, it feels like most of my streaming life. In fact, it is all of my streaming life.
This one's really intricate and it's very interesting, right? Like I know you're covering Delphi and you do a lot of different cases, but this one to me is the most interesting one happening. Like
it's out there. It's wild. And the thing about the Idaho 4 case is there's so many more layers to it, and I like trials that haven't happened yet. I like following the pre-trial process, and this one I actually really hope it doesn't go to trial. That sounds weird, but I hope that this one doesn't get to a jury. Reason being, I feel like if it does go to a jury, that he's screwed no matter what.
Do you think the closer it gets that he could try to take a plea?
I don't think he's taken a plea.
So what do you think will happen though?
He's innocent. So
but I mean, what would you think would not go to trial? Like, how would that happen?
There will be a motion to split to dismiss, and it will be the charges will be dismissed prior to trial, because there's simply just not enough evidence there.
But you can't believe that with what you're actually seeing with Hitler and happening right now, though, right? With how he's actually handling it. Like, even though you think he's innocent and you're on the defense side, I mean, reality is what's kind of happening with Hitler and the way he's handling
Well,
because I know you're not a fan of Hitler.
I didn't say I'm not a fan of Hitler. But I think that if Hitler is, if he understands what trace DNA actually is, and all of the other evidence is chipped away, and it is chipped away, there's actually nothing else right now. All there is a couple of skin cells on a piece of leather, actually the little snap on a piece of leather on a movable object in a house that is not the murder weapon, and it belongs to somebody who has nothing to do with the victims whatsoever. There is no car, there is no cell phone, there is nothing else. The rest is completely debunked. All there is that.
I mean, a lot of that we're not even going to know until trial. A lot of this is under wraps still. Like, we have the arguments and what the defense is saying, but we don't actually know what the police have in terms of what they have, maybe surveillance-wise with the camera in his car or even the cell phone stuff, really. We don't really know what's going on.
Well, we do know for a fact that the defense has said that the cell phone, whilst they originally stated that the cell phone was pinging near the house, at least, it's now just in the vicinity of the house, and that there are 3 towers that it was pinging against, right?
I do like Andrea's arguments with the towers. I've heard her kind of go over how vastly scattered they are, and if you are driving through this kind of remote area, you know, it's almost impossible to really pinpoint where someone would be, right?
He could have not even been in Moscow that night, right? So, and then there is the car. The car is not identified as his at all, right? So if you take away the car and you take away the cell tower data, and he doesn't know these people at all, and that's been admitted in open court, right? So there is no connection.
I think they were trying to do the kind of the conspiracy side of his stalking, and you know, there's no confirmation of that at all, right? They're trying to sensationalize that. Yeah, 100%.
None. So even the state admits now he's got nothing to do with these people whatsoever.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that. So all we have left is these skin cells on this object in the house. If Hitler finally understands, if he comes to understand that this DNA is not your regular kind of DNA, right? It is not a pool of blood. It's not it's not the kind of DNA that you regularly associate with somebody just leaving it at a crime scene, like he was referring to. Oh, if you just leave your DNA at a crime scene. No, it's an object that could have ended up there anyway, right? So Bryan Kohberger, didn't necessarily leave his DNA at that crime scene. There was an object at that crime scene that happened to have his DNA on it, right? And it's a minuscule amount. It's so small that as we walk around in everyday life, our DNA gets dropped everywhere, right? And who's to say that he left his DNA at that crime scene? He could have touched that object in a shop. He could have shaken hands with somebody who owned that knife sheath, right? So this is how trace DNA works. And if Judge Hitler actually comes to understand this, there's nothing left. That's not enough. That's not enough totality of evidence to take to trial. We don't have all the evidence we have that they have given us to the public. Well, I have thoughts on that.
We know nothing. Come on. We don't know shit. This thing is completely locked down. Like, that's why I want a trial, so I can see the police prove it. I made a tweet that I said, currently, with everything you just said, I would not convict with just the transfer DNA. No way.
Oh, God.
I want them to prove it to me, which I have theories personally that I think that they might be able to do that in certain ways. But I mean, I'm just bullshitting, right? Like, they have to show me what the fuck's going on. But I have to say, I agree with everything you just said, and I've looked a lot in that stuff as well. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's hard to get past the fact that the DNA was on this knife sheath underneath the victim, and it gets traced back with the IGG, which we're going to get back, which is what we're really going to get into with this hearing.
Yep.
Back to Bryan Kohberger. I mean, that is still pretty significant, in my opinion, to move forward with having Kohberger arrested and held and going to a trial.
Unfortunately, a jury's going to see it that way. Then this is the problem, right?
That is reality.
If it gets to trial, he is absolutely screwed, right? So jury is going to hear DNA, knife sheath, guilty, done. That's all they're going to hear. They're going to sleep through the rest. Right, they're going to absolutely sleep through the rest, and they're not. And
you may be totally right there, and I'm not for that. That's not what I want. I want them to prove it. Like I get fucked up on this a lot, especially with people that are more on the defense side, because I do kind of play this 100% from the middle. Like, I kind of also, I think that the DNA is fucking huge. I think that it's going to absolutely screw him, but the arguments that are happening, what we're about to watch here with the IGG, the best and the most interesting thing coming from Ann Taylor, and their best possible argument is the way that the police got this, right? Like, it's nefarious. It's a little fucky. So that's their best argument. Because I agree with Ann Taylor and the defense there. Like, that's kind of fucked up. But I will say, even if I think it's fucked up, at the end of the day, if you catch the guy that killed 4 kids through this, I don't think I hate it either.
Okay, I have a problem with that, but unfortunately, I'll preface what we're about to watch with, I have a big problem with the way Ann Taylor argued in this hearing.
Everybody did. I think Hitler fucked her up with his style, with the appellate style that, I'm taking that from Bob Motta, but like asking questions and going back and forth, and
she should have been ready.
Dude, she's never been this off. She's always on point. She fucking rules. I love Ann Taylor's style, but she was way off this time. Like, what the fuck? Look, again, I think Hitler fucked her. I mean,
maybe. He was also pretty hard on Ashley Jennings later. But that said, look, you also got to take into account that we didn't see the morning's part of the hearing, and she could have been pretty well worn down by the time.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Right, so we didn't.
It's a lot. It's a long day.
It's a long day,
You're
and
right.
we didn't see it until not even just past lunch. There was 40 minutes past lunch as well that we didn't see. Right, so by the time we got to seeing it, she could have already just been like, "Oh, for God's sake."
That's a good point, actually. That's a really good point.
Yeah, right. But that said. She still just missed the mark on so many points, and I was really disappointed with her.
Do you think she was making the correct argument?
No. I think, well, she was trying to, but the biggest thing she's stuffed up on, and actually it was interesting when Andrea did the rewatch yesterday. I super chatted her about it, and people in her chat were saying the same thing, and it was actually what we've all been saying for the last week. Why did she not say trace DNA? Why did she not correct the judge? Like, what's going on? Why is the judge going, oh, DNA on the knife sheath is enough for probable cause every day and twice on Sunday, right? Why is she not correcting him and saying, Judge, it's not just your regular DNA. It's some skin cells that you could drop as well, right? So how would it be if you were to walk through a crime scene? You could have walked through a crime scene on the way to court this morning. Is that enough to arrest you for a quadruple homicide? Is it?
I would say yes, actually. If he was a part of a situation like this, then absolutely. If your DNA ends up in a situation like this, you're going to get arrested. Like, you're going to be fucked. I mean, I get that it's cells, or it's these partial, fragments, and it's not a whole, like, what do they say? It's a sample. Like, it's not a whole I don't remember the wording of it.
It's a like part of a chain.
Like a portion,
yeah.
But still, I mean, that was
I'm no scientist.
brought back to Bryan Kohberger. That's why he's fucked. I mean, that's not good. And I still think Hitler made a great point with the what he said there with the probable cause. That's all you need.
But do you realize that if you shake hands with somebody who then handles a knife, there's 20% chance that you're going to be the only contributor to the DNA that ends up on that knife, not the other person?
God, the odds of that are so low. Like, the odds of you shaking someone's hand and then them really we can go back to the case that everyone brings up, right? The ambulance situation where they were like, I don't remember the intricacies of it. It was the sleuth he was talking about on the one that I shared earlier, but the other one that everyone wants to bring up, the real fact of the matter is that's the only case anyone can actually bring up. Like, that's not normal. Like,
sorry, which one?
It's the one, God, I don't remember the actual, I should have looked at it before I got on here, but it's the one, it's like, what happened? Somebody, it's like a crime scene's happened, 911 has showed up, like the EMTs are there, and essentially like one of the EMTs like touch something. I don't remember the exact intricacies. I'm butchering the fuck out of this. I'm sure somebody in the chat is screaming at me, but that's the only one that everyone really pulls from. And I mean, I think that the odds, you even said 20%, that's low as fuck. Like, the odds of that happening are insane.
20% is not low.
You just said 20. What?
That's 1 in 5.
Come on. Like, the odds of Bryan Kohberger, I mean, I think what's going to be interesting is the fact that, or not the fact, but the possibility of how they prove, because, we got the Amazon searches coming, right? I mean, what if we see Bryan Kohberger is the only chain of custody with this sheath? Like, and he did get a sheath. I mean.
Okay, so the chain of custody is a whole another issue. So what we have is a 9-hour period between when not a 9-hour period. We have a 5-hour period between when the first responders arrived, and then we have when the items started to be taken out of the house. Finding DNA is harder than it's being suggested. What's astronomically low, Adam Malone?
Yeah, I'm trying to pop up all kinds of different opinions in here so we can see them.
20%.
Just the way it should be.
Yeah, 20% chance of your DNA ending up on a knife after you have shaken someone's hand is not an astronomically low chance. So, yeah. Anyway, should we look at the hearing?
Yeah, let's get in here. So anytime we're watching the IGG going into this, if you want me to pause, just let me know, and we can do that. Let me pull this up here. I think I've got this. Let me first of all get the sound rocking and rolling. And in the chat, everyone just be chill. If you're a dick to anybody in the chat, you will be kicked the fuck out. There's no reason for that. Don't be a fucking asshole. I'm going to call you the fuck out if you. I'm going to call you the fuck out if you do it. I'm not joking. Don't be a piece of shit. There's no fucking reason for that.
Your Honor, our position is that the court should suppress the IGG identification and everything that flows from that.
Can you hear that, Ellen?
This is supported by Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, due process, Article 1, Section 17 of the Idaho Constitution. Your Honor, there was no warrant for several phases of the search that led to the IGG work, Investigative Genetic Genealogy. And we think every single one of those stages, a warrant was required. None was given, and so this must be suppressed. Your Honor, I'd like to identify the 3 stages, and they are when Idaho State Police Forensics Lab, through Moscow Police Department, moved a DNA sample Othram Laboratories to develop a profile to run through genetic genealogy investigations. There was no warrant for that search for a SNP profile that could be used to attempt to identify somebody. The next stage would be when that was transferred to the FBI for their forensic investigative genetic genealogy work to try to identify somebody. No warrant was in place for that work either. Finally, there was a trash pool in Pennsylvania, and there was no warrant for that trash pool either. All three of those stages of this case, there should have been a warrant, and there wasn't, and this must be suppressed. Your Honor, for the purposes of the Fourth Amendment protections and Article 1, Section 17 of the Idaho Constitution, we are looking to see if somebody has a privacy interest that society is ready to support.
Here, Scott.
In this case, if society is not ready to support suppression of every bit of our DNA when the government does not have a warrant and searches it, there is no privacy right left.
Do you have any cases that hold that?
I do not have any cases that hold that, nor do I have any to the contrary that say that's not the case.
Because I think she's right. I mean,
Your Honor, this is a situation where...
Like, I agree with what happened, but she's right. I mean, like, that, even what we were talking about earlier with Andrea, like, you posted that, I think it was last night, and I kind of commented on it.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Like, that is correct. Like, the way that the police went around to get into, you know, some dude's just like, hey, I'm going to go in here and see what the fuck, and I can hit, you know, and they've already got in their terms and services saying that they don't want law enforcement doing that. That's great. I mean, that's the best argument they have. And I hope that he actually gives them the Franks hearing because of that, man. Like,
well, okay.
Like, I think that's a great argument.
Well, and here's the problem, right? This is all really new technology, or new science. There's not much case law to go on. There's not much for Ann Taylor to use as a precedent to put in front of Judge Hippler. And Judge Hippler's like, well, have you got case law? And she's like, no, Judge. And then in response, the state's like, well, here's a problem. There is no Fourth Amendment protection for Bryan Kohberger here, because he's basically he left his DNA out in public, and all of the people who have put their DNA into these databases, they've effectively left their DNA out in public. And as Andrea was saying in the clip that I put on X, and it's up to you if you want to show it or not.
Yeah, let me pull it up. That'd actually be good.
Yeah, that's a problem, and everyone should be worried about this.
Let me find that real quick. Yeah, no, that was a really good post. Hold on, let me go here. Got way too much activity on here. It hasn't even been that long. Here we go. Yeah, let me bring this over. Let me get the sound right. Yeah, plug for Andrea too, man. She's fucking incredible. She does really cool work, especially with this case in Delphi. I'm sure everybody in here is probably following her. But.
Brief 3 different cases where Idaho's appellate courts have found people have given up a reasonable expectation of privacy in information that was shared with a single company, and it was shared with that company just so they could get the service from that company. Here, we're talking about people sharing it not just with the company, but with millions of other people, because sharing it is the purpose of providing it to the database. So regardless of what the FBI did or didn't do in terms of violating the terms of service, no one has a reasonable expectation.
Is it different if they share it with the company and it's obtained by lawful process from that company versus going in the back window and taking it?
No, Your Honor, because right now what we're asking is not reasonableness of the search. Right now what we're asking is there even a reasonable expectation of privacy? And so the fact that no one has a reasonable expectation of privacy in those databases means that even if the FBI violated those terms of service.
Got that, everybody? Did you hear that loud and clear? The government's position: if you use a database, you have given up all of your interest in keeping your genetic information private. I hope you heard that loud and clear before you consider submitting your DNA.
I would never do the DNA thing personally, but I also would expect it to just be fucked if it's out there. like that's not good. Like I would never do that.
I don't think most people do think it's fucked if it's out there, though.
I think you're right. You're probably right. I don't think people are even thinking about it, right? Like, no, you're right, man. I would never, ever. I've even thought about it in the before, but this case actually has. Yeah, no.
Any of these databases. That's the position the government's going to take. Free for all. You put it in GEDmatch, you put it in 23andMe, you put it in Ancestry, whatever. Free for all. You have no right to restrict who can see it, what they can use it for. That's the government's position. Think long and hard about that.
Service. No one has.
Yeah. No, she made a really good point there.
What?
Yeah.
Right?
I would never, dude. Never.
I guess this puts Hitler in a really interesting position, doesn't it? Right? Because if he doesn't suppress this IGG, does this actually lead to some case law? Right? So by not suppressing this IGG search, which in open court now, it's clear that the FBI has done an illegal. Well, is it illegal? So by violating the terms of service of these sites, it seems that they have violated the terms of service of these sites, right?
Yeah, I did hear a little bit of their arguments in I think it's in this when they're kind of going back and forth about that, but yeah.
Yep. Right. So
I think technically they probably did, right? Because it says in the terms and services they don't.
Yeah.
I think it literally says law enforcement, they don't want them using this.
Well, yeah, but there's reference to 2 times that they violated the terms of service of these sites, right? So by Judge Hitler not suppressing the searches, the 2 times that they went in the back door, as he said, is he then saying it's cool for law enforcement to use these databases to do whatever they want, basically, with your DNA in these genetic databases for future cases?
Yeah. Yeah, anything could happen in the future, and yeah, I would never. Let's just say that, because you could end up completely fucked, like basically Kohberger is right now. I mean, really and truly.
Is he? Here's the thing, right? I think that this judge is. I've said before he doesn't have any balls, right? And when I say he doesn't have any balls, I think he's not likely to make a ruling that's going to sort of impact society. Right? He's not going to make a groundbreaking ruling. He's going to stay pretty safe. Right? So is he now in between a rock and a hard place, in that by not making a ruling in favor of the defense, he's now giving a green light for investigations everywhere to continue to just break the rules of the terms of service of these sites, to just use people's DNA for whatever the hell they want?
Yeah.
Is
yeah,
it?
Man. It's definitely a slippery slope.
It's a huge slippery slope, because you know what? Like Andrea said,
I hope he has a change of heart on this, honestly. I hope that he wants to get in a little bit deeper into this, honestly.
He needs to think really carefully about this, because as Andrea said, it might not just be for identification, right? We're talking about your DNA. This is something that is really personal to you and can contain a lot more information, right? So it can contain things about, like, obviously your genetic information, your eye color, your hair color, but like your illnesses, like your predispositions to illnesses, right? So what makes you likely to be better at certain things, like your job, right? Maybe an employer might not want to hire you because you are more likely to be prone to a certain illness at some stage in life.
Gotcha.
This can go a lot further. The implications long term are huge. Like this needs to be stopped, guys. They can't just have access. The government can't just have access.
And I am very anti-government. I'm not a fan of the FBI. It's a literal fucking gang. I'm not a fan of the government. So I mean, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I know, I'm pushing this a lot further than this case, right?
No, you're good, dude.
But you're
making a great argument, actually.
She just said it's a free for all. Andrea just said, guys, it's a free for all. You put your data into these sites, and it's a free for all. Well, that's what Idaho just said.
Yeah, let's move on a little bit further here, India. But yeah, man,
sure.
I think you're making a good point, and yeah, I think the police might have fucked up there. But you know, if if there's not any kind of ruling on it, and we end up still going to court, you know, he's going to be.
Well,
screwed.
it's the FBI. Yeah, it's the FBI.
The FBI and the FBI fucking suck, dude. Like, not a fan of the FBI. Anybody that keeps up with anything that's happening really in the world, especially within the United States, or not even just the United States, within the world. But man, in the last couple of years, some of the stuff that's come out with the FBI and some of the dirty shit that they've done to the American people, dude, not a fan at all. And I am a fan of police. I'm not anti, police, but I am ultimately anti-establishment. I'm anti-government. I'm anti, anyone basically telling you to do anything. I don't know, man. Like it's such a slippery fucking slope. But at the end of the day, I'm not one of the, we don't need police people. I think police have a very important part in our world. But dude, the bounds that they can overstep is scary. And in a lot of these fucking cases, I'm not going to go down the Delphi road, but that one is fucking horrendous. Like it's crazy, and absolutely horrifying. But we'll move on.
Application was done in complete secret behind closed doors, and it's been continued to be a secret. And that should raise red flags for your honor about privacy interests that are at stake. The court can see from the various affidavits in this case that there's a lot of things done that don't say how Mr. Kohberger was identified. And the reason for that is because nobody wanted to talk about what happened here with the genetic genealogy. That search was done by making a profile in Othram Lab. That search did not lead anywhere. The FBI took over the search, and from there they did things that we have no idea what it is. That entire segment of this case is secret. We have been through several motions to compel to try to get information, and we've gotten very, very little information. The court should know that we learned today about policies and procedures of Othram that we have not been able to take a look at. Those have not been produced. In fact, we've been told they don't exist. We learned about investigative work that was done after Othram had done the work that they could do and before the FBI took over, that we learned about for the first time this week. Not the motion to compel process. This was a giant secret. When we get to the FBI, we don't know who did the work. You heard that any of that information is redacted. We don't know who did the work. It's a giant secret. We know that by the time the FBI gets involved,
thanks for coming in here, bud.
The profile, the text file, that's a snip to use to try to identify somebody is more than twice as big when it gets to the FBI from Othram. We don't know how. We don't have any notes. We don't know who did any of the work. We don't have any lab protocols. We don't have any quality assurances. It's not reliable.
You're not asserting that Mr. Kohberger's DNA sample was uploaded into any of those databases, that his was, like, for example, his own DNA was one that was matched from the crime scene. Not asking whether the crime scene DNA was uploaded, but whether he had, as a, for example, customer of one of these companies, uploaded his DNA.
Well, Your Honor, I don't have the jed.com file. I don't have,
You're not asserting that fact, correct?
Your Honor, I'm not sure what the court is asking me.
Well, it goes to whether or not your client has
fuck are you saying,
standing to complain about the searches of the databases, because as the state has posited, that wasn't his DNA that was searched. At best, it was his ancestors.
Well, Your Honor, I am not sure why we're here if the state hasn't alleged that Bryan Kohberger's DNA was on the knife sheath.
No, I'm not talking about the knife sheath DNA. I'm talking about what they tried to match it to.
Your Honor, I would answer it this way. The way that those databases work is looking for shared DNA.
Right.
Those databases don't churn out a name and say this is
I have
your
a
suspect.
privacy interest against any of my relatives that might want to upload their DNA to one of those systems. I should be able to stop them from doing that because I share some DNA with them.
That is certainly not what I'm saying.
love
What
to
I
be able
am
to stop
saying,
them.
Your Honor, is if somebody takes your DNA,
Yeah, I guarantee
And
mine's already in
uploads
there.
it.
There's got to be people that's already done
I
it.
think you have a privacy interest in your own DNA.
But not necessarily in, let's say my DNA is taken lawfully. What privacy interest do I have in the search of the DNA of others?
None.
That's a loaded question.
Why is it a loaded question? Isn't it a factual question?
Well, it is, Judge, but you're assuming that the DNA was taken lawfully, and our position,
I agree. That part is an assumption. In my hypothetical, I said my DNA that was taken lawfully. Why would I have standing to object to the search of other people's DNA simply because I might share some genetic information with them because they are distantly related to me?
well, Your Honor, our position is that this work was not done lawfully, that it was unlawful, that there needed to be a warrant, that this was done outside of a warrant. And I'm not asserting on behalf of anybody else in this, any relative, anybody who might have been named or not named. This is about an identification process. It needed to be a lawful process. It wasn't a lawful process. It was in violation of Mr. Kohberger's rights. I don't know how he cannot.
How
have
was it in
standing when
violation
he's
of his
accused.
rights?
Excuse me?
How was it in violation of his rights?
Well, Your Honor, he's been in custody for
You're saying
2
that,
years.
I understand your position, which frankly is not well supported in the law, that if hypothetically here, he went to this crime scene, committed these murders, and left DNA on a piece of evidence, that he now has the ability to object to that evidence being searched for identification purposes. There's no case that suggests that concludes that. And it seems to me to be an extreme position to take in light of the case law, and I'm trying to understand how you get there.
Well, I think Your Honor is asking me about things that I anticipated the state would argue, their abandonment theory, and I would remind the court that the Ross case said that abandonment is a knowing, intentional leaving of something, for one thing. For the other thing, I think that the court is asking me to take a position where it feels like burden shifting to me.
No, I'm trying to understand the legal argument and how this is different from example from latent fingerprints.
Well, Your Honor, I think that things like latent fingerprints and like CODIS, there's statutes about CODIS in Idaho, about what's allowed in CODIS. This is a different search. This isn't an STR search. That's what happens in CODIS. This is a different search.
So I'm going now to, the constitutionality of using the DNA that was allegedly on the knife sheath. And because I understand your argument is twofold. One, your client complains that a search was done of databases of other people to determine whether or not any of them might be related to the person who left the DNA on the knife sheath. That's thing one. Thing two is an objection to the law enforcement searching the DNA by testing it and getting a profile from the knife sheath without a warrant. My question goes to that latter point, understanding the basis for that, because I can't find any case law that would support that idea, that somehow a warrant would be needed for DNA left at a crime scene.
Well, I think in our briefing, Your Honor, that we cited the court to some cases.
I did, I think, one concurring opinion in a case that held otherwise.
Your Honor, I was going to talk to the court about third-party data, and I was going to talk to the court about the Davis case that talked about something that the police lawfully had and a subsequent test, the Skinner case, when there's something that's lawfully held, but there's a subsequent test. So those are the things that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Our first point is it was an illegal search, and this is if
The search, which search?
Assumption.
Which
Well,
search?
Tiff,
It was
what
illegal.
First, the snip at Othram, then the snip at the FBI, and then the trash pool.
So you're talking about the DNA testing of the material left allegedly on the knife sheath.
I'm talking about the Idaho State Police Forensics Lab taking a piece of evidence given to them by Moscow Police Department, collected at the scene, developing a STR profile, uploading it into CODIS, and I think that's the King case that says that's fine. I know Idaho has statutes on CODIS, uploading it there and producing nothing. There are no results there.
That's a really good point, Ms. Portage, actually, or Pottage, sorry, excuse me. Because IGG is new, in a few years there will be rules and expectations of evidence. Let me pop it back up.
Yeah.
This case would possibly convict, but overturned and make new law. That's a great point.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at earlier about there's just being no case law. Like, there's just nothing. Hipler keeps going to, and do you have case law to support this? And she's like, no, Your Honor. And that's because there's just not. This is so new. This is so new. There's the Golden State killer. That was one case that they found the perpetrator with IGG.
Yeah,
but it's a really different case. Really different case, a cold case, and there was a lot more evidence around it. But this one is so different. It's really different, and we've got this tiny, minuscule piece of evidence. It's a couple of skin cells on a movable object, and then we have the issues of this backdooring. Sorry for the terminology, but this backdooring of FBI going and searching the database with potentially using the database outside of the terms and conditions of those companies. So, and then the state is here going, well, that's okay. People put their DNA out there, so whatever. Too bad, so sad. Someone else in chat also brought up something really important, and that is that Ann Taylor's arguing. She said, "I don't have the file." She's talking about the workings of this. So she wants to see what happened. She wants to see how the process went along to get to his identification.
I do 100% agree with you there that
yeah,
anything that's not being turned over and all of this. I mean, how long has it been? It's been 2 years of them trying to get all of the stuff turned over. No, I do agree with you there. It seems like there's something going on that side of it.
yeah.
I don't know exactly what the fuck's going on, but yeah, why the fuck would you not just turn over all of the deeds, right?
Well, there's a few things going on here. One of them is that the FBI is kind of MIA. They have been for a while. So there are people who did work to help with the PCA to get the probable cause affidavit and to have all the information ready for the grand jury, working with the FBI, who just either they're not talking to the state police and the prosecution, or they are and we're not hearing about it. All right, so the they're not involved in the discovery process. Or, as Ann Taylor just said, they're saying things like, oh, the procedures at Osram Lab, which is where the first round of testing was done, just didn't exist. Things like that.
Yeah.
So, and later on, she's going to say something along the lines of that I found out just this week about this part of the process and that part of the process, right? So that's not okay.
Yeah, she did.
Right?
I remember that.
Yeah, we're 2 years in.
And still
right?
finding
and
out new information. Even in this hearing, she was saying, right?
Yeah, just finding things out, right? Now, there's a lot of people who think that the defense is dragging this trial out. Right? A lot of people, that's a really common misconception that Ann Taylor, Bryan
I like
Kohberger,
Ann Taylor. I like his defense team.
Yeah.
I'm not against them at all.
Yeah. But they're sitting there going, oh, let's just drag this out so that he doesn't have to go to trial and he stays alive longer.
Yeah.
Right. So that is just BS. There have been 21 supplemental requests for discovery. There have been 6 motions to compel, and she's still getting stuff handed over to her. So it's out of control, the discovery issues in this case.
Yeah. I don't particularly like either far side of this case. I'll like anyone that's basically hardcore against the defense. I'm also like, that's fucking stupid. Like, I mean, they're doing their job.
Not going to help anybody. You know.
Yeah.
Take and I'll also just say right now that I don't follow any of the conspiracy sort of side.
We talked a little bit about that the other day.
Like that. I'm
I
not
think
into
that's the best way to handle it. You literally are going by it with. I mean, that's what you do, right? Every case that you're handling, it's about the law. It's about the legalities of it.
Yeah,
you
I'm
are
not
doing it
interested
the
in looking
correct
at
way.
Third parties and stuff.
That's
like
why I
that,
like
so.
you, Ella. I think you're doing it correctly. Like, there's a lot of, I think, content creators that lean into the conspiracy stuff that also confuse the public that are, maybe they're for Bryan Kohberger, but they're not even, they don't know why they're really for Kohberger. They're for Kohberger because they think some random neighbor maybe killed him or something crazy.
Yeah, I'm not into all that
that's
stuff.
the stuff that really makes me super angry in this case. And that's why I fucking actually really like you, because you're doing it the correct way. Like, and I've went down, and I'm very open about the beginning when I covered this, because I did that. I was doing that for views, and I got addicted to it, and it was fucking stupid, because then I got lost, right? Like, and I'm lucky enough to have met, Bob Mata and gotten into the more law side of it and been able to do the path I did. But yeah, dude, that shit can fuck you up real bad.
And I'm not going to say anything against anybody who's interested.
I'm not
in
naming any
into
names.
No. I mean, it's fine to go and look at other theories.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's what
just
it
not
is.
my thing. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
So I know there are people who look into the fraternity aspect, and they look into like there's a neighbor involved and all sorts of stuff, and that's cool. Right, like if that's
it can be interesting, but at the same time, it
interesting.
fucks you up. It kind of gets you off the path of where you should actually be, which is the arguments that's happening currently. I can also see why it happened, because as soon as those murders happened, this was the biggest case. It's one of the biggest cases still, but when it first happened, this shit was popping off, going viral, and then you got everybody just trying to get some views. Like, that was 100%. I was a part of that. Like, I was like, fuck, shit, damn.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing 3-4 shows a week, literally just on this. I have to find a new angle, a new thing to find. Oh shit, these fraternities are interesting, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there is
That's
interest
fine.
in there, and maybe there's even some implications of some other stuff that we may find out in the trial or in court, but we can't get there and just jump to conclusions like some people do.
I only stream when something new happens in the documents, or a hearing happens or something like that. I don't stream on this every day or anything like that, and I have no problem with people who do. But as far as I'm concerned, there's enough drama happening here. There's enough to keep. There's enough to keep you interested.
Making
happening.
bullshit drama, right, dude? No, that's a great fucking point, dude. Yeah, man. Like, we don't need other crap associated with it. That's just literally that. It's just shit. Like, we don't actually. There's nothing to back it up. There's no proof. It's just kind of. I don't know. You're creating content. I mean, I get it, but I don't know. You can kind of get down to a dark path with that as well. I really think that.
And I have my own reasons for believing he's innocent, by the way. I could be convinced otherwise. I just don't think that
where I am,
else.
Hella. Like I have to. They have to show it. Like I would not convict this guy right now. Like
no. But to be honest with you, the main reason I think that I go so far as to say I think he's innocent is because 2 of his lawyers, and they're very well respected lawyers, have come out in open court and said that they believe he is innocent, and that is very strange. That is very strange. And even Andrea has come on my channel and said lawyers don't do that.
Yeah. No, that is.
They just don't do that.
Yeah.
Right. So to put their reputation on the line like that means they've seen something.
Yo, welcome in here. Hell yeah. Got a good one. Got a banger on our hands.
How's it going, Cat, man?
Hey, everybody here tonight, today, thank y'all so much for hanging and banging. I appreciate it. If you haven't hit the like yet, do so. If you haven't subbed up yet, please do so as well. Let's keep rolling here a little bit. Hold on. What do you got, Sasha? I got a question. Give it to us. I'll pop it up here.
Talking about the next set of moves that are super secret that happen when there's a portion of the DNA taken and it's searched by Othram to create a SNP. And then when that doesn't produce anything, the FBI says, okay, here we go. Let's search the SNP ourselves. That's what I'm talking about. Those are the problems. As far as asserting family
Specific DNA tests of the sample that goes from legitimate to illegitimate?
Yes, Your Honor, I think the Davis case is on point. If the court's theory that this is a lawful piece of evidence taken from the crime scene, the sheath.
Not my theory. I'm just trying to understand your position in light of the case law and in light of the state's arguments. I'm trying to find where the gristle is in this.
I'm adopting the court's hypothesis for this purpose, that the knife sheath was taken. I'm adopting it only for that purpose, and I'm relying on the Davis case that says subsequent searches need a warrant.
And remind me, Davis was the cell phone?
No, Davis was not the cell phone. Davis was blood, a sample with blood. The cell phone case is Carpenter.
Give me the site to that.
I'm sorry?
Can you give me the site to the Davis case?
I can. Give me 2 seconds.
She's like, can you stop cutting me off, you motherfucker?
2 seconds and glasses.
Oh shit! No, I didn't see it. Hold on. Let me go back up. Maybe
Where's the question?
I don't think I saw it, Sasha. I saw you ask that, and then I didn't see anything after.
Let me see if I can see it.
Looking back up. If you wouldn't mind to repost it, I'll definitely pop it up. I'll keep an eye out here.
And I apologize because my memory tends to be fact-based and not name-based, and so that's my liability.
Well, it's going to take me just a second. I apologize.
Okay.
I was wondering all along what Ian Runkle was doing in the background.
So,
Yeah, dude, he's just chilling back there. I didn't see him tweeting about this one. Yeah, Kraken, I'd like the style, honestly. Like I like Hippler, but the way he's kind of running it. You're not a fan.
Oh, look, I after it all happened, and I cooled down a bit because I was also mad at Anne. Like
I remember.
I was just like, yeah. After it all happened, I kind of was like, so pretty.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button.
He was also pretty, he was the same with Ashley, because Ashley was just as painful and more. Ashley kept giggling through it, right? So Ashley didn't have answers to his questions and would literally stop and just be like
nervously laugh.
Yeah, do the nervous laugh and not and just sort of shrug off the arguments. And he would be exactly the same with her. So
Kohberger's kind of got to be seeing this and going like, fuck, what's going on here? Like,
yeah, he's like, this
they've
is
been
my
on
life
point,
woman.
dude. They've been killing it. Like, they've been doing really well, I think. Like,
oh, he's got a crack team. Like, they're really good. I really like, if you watch the second day, Eliza, she did an amazing job. She completely nailed it.
I might do that live. Like, I haven't watched that yet, and I want to watch it. So
yeah,
that'd be cool.
That she was on point. She was very good. All three of them are great. Jay Logson's fantastic as well. He's copped a fair bit of heat for turning up late to the death penalty arguments, but his writing is just incredible. He throws so much shade, but he's an excellent attorney. I really like Jay. All three of them are just incredibly intelligent, and he has a fantastic team. You would expect him to have a fantastic team. They're trying to kill him, so that's what happens.
Yeah,
you get a good team when they're trying to kill you.
Yeah, death penalty is on the table. So
yeah, that's how it works.
So those are the three areas that we believe that there should have been a search warrant, and there wasn't. There is an expectation
Sasha, I still never saw you come back through.
in one's DNA that society is willing to
You trolling me right now,
recognize.
Sasha?
And I think
You're
I
trolling
talked
me.
to the court a little bit about the things that happened in this case that were super secret. I think we'd gotten to the point where
that
we
makes
were
me cringe.
talking,
Like,
this goes to recognizing an expectation of privacy when there's all of this secrecy surrounding it. We
All of
had
the
gotten
secrecy.
to the FBI where the SNP profile was twice as big as that from Othram, and then the FBI went into databases that violate the Department of Justice interim policy. You heard a lot about that Department of Justice interim policy, and that policy it's on page 6 of that particular exhibit that the court has. It says that they're not to go into databases that aren't allowed. And they did that. The court has that in another exhibit.
How's that a constitutional violation?
Your Honor, it goes to privacy.
Suppress for contractual violations
Yeah,
or
yeah,
even
drop it in
statutory
chat, Sasha.
violations.
I'm not suggesting that we do that. I'm suggesting that that's information that's pertinent to this court in making a very important decision as to whether somebody's Fourth Amendment rights were violated, as well as Article 1, Section 17 of the Idaho Constitution.
Seen some shitty ones now.
The purpose of offering that information is because there's a policy. So
But okay, the thing about it is when, and I haven't seen yet somebody have a court-appointed public defender that's death penalty qualified. That's not good, right? So that's because they're death penalty qualified. They're very highly trained, like certified, top of the tree. It takes like a certain level of lawyer to ascend to that kind of level. So, and people have sort of looked at this and gone, why does Kohberger get such great counsel? Why does Kohberger get a budget for all these expert witnesses, etc.? Well, the state's trying to kill him. That's why.
Yeah.
So everything changes.
Yeah, and
once death is
everyone
on the table.
deserves a good defense team. I mean,
everyone does.
everyone.
But death is
100%.
different.
And 100%
Death-
even more so if your life's on the line. Absolutely.
Yeah, like the whole process changes. And I would recommend if anybody, I'm not doing a plug here, but this is really good information. I did a stream with Steve Gosney about 6 weeks ago about the death penalty motions in this case.
Nice.
Steve Gosney is a death penalty certified appellate attorney and author in Florida. He's written many books on death penalty. Most recent one is called Death Penalty Designs. It's an excellent read. I learned so much about death penalty law streaming with him, but especially about this case. Also, go and have a look at it. You'll find out so much about how the whole process of trial changes once the state decides to pursue the death penalty. It's just so interesting.
That is interesting.
It's just so interesting because people don't understand why everything takes so much longer once the state puts death penalty on the table, why the stakes are so much higher in terms of the diligence to due process. Right? Due process is obviously very important, but once death penalty is there, everything just goes like that. It's so much more, the gravity of the situation is so much higher. So it was such a great learning experience for me, and I would recommend that you have a look.
Nice, yeah.
And
throw it in the
his
chat
book
too.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good one to watch for sure. Hell yeah.
Cool.
That sounds super interesting too.
Yep. Yeah.
And if you, if you chat right now, I'll make you a mod. Then you can throw it in there.
There's there's a recognized expectation of privacy in what's
I'd like to check
contained
that out
in a
myself.
SNP. In a SNP at all, there has to be a warrant to search these types of things, and there wasn't. There would be no need to have any policy if nobody cared about this. The
Just knighted, Hella. Boom, boom. You have been knighted.
Boom, boom.
court heard about the different IGG databases that changed their rules in terms of use after a different case used IGG to solve it because people don't expect to have their DNA searched.
That was the point of my question about whether or not Mr. Kohberger's DNA was in any of those databases. In other words, did he submit his DNA and said, I don't want law enforcement to look at it?
Your Honor, I don't think that that's the way the question should be looked at. I think the question should be looked at in the way that we always look at warrantless searches.
Got to be a standing.
You catch that?
No, what did I miss? What?
He asked
Should I go back?
Go back. Just watch that again.
DNA
That was the
searched.
point of my question about whether or not Mr. Kohberger's DNA was in any of those databases. In other words, did he submit his DNA and said, I don't want law enforcement to look at it?
Your Honor, I don't think that that's the way the question should be looked at. I think the question should be looked at in the way that we always look at warrantless searches.
Got to be a standing.
Dodge question.
Your Honor, we're here because the state has alleged that a single piece of evidence ties Mr. Kohberger to this case. They've alleged that there's a knife sheath that has DNA that they allege matches Bryan Kohberger.
I think he's uploaded
He's
his
now been
DNA.
incarcerated for 2 years, facing capital murder. I'm not sure, unless we're shifting the burden to me, what else I can say.
Well, you have a burden of showing that the items ought to be suppressed.
This is a warrantless search. There's no justification for this search.
Right. Assuming a warrant is required for this type of inquiry.
That's the question.
Well, Your Honor, we
apparently.
think it is. And we think it is based on case law, third-party doctrine case law, that's Carpenter. Thinking about cell phones, that's the Riley case. If you have a cell phone that gets taken at an arrest out of a car, a subsequent warrant to search the cell phone is required. So we think a warrant was
good point.
required for these subsequent searches. And there was no warrant in this case. There's an expectation of privacy.
I struggle with, I struggle, to be frank, and where you're going to have to try to convince me, I guess, is I struggle with the idea that DNA left at a crime scene, that there's any expectation of privacy by someone who leaves DNA at a crime scene, that DNA can't be, as you say, searched without a warrant to establish identity.
I mean, I think that's a good point too.
Well, Your Honor, I don't think any of us can go out of our houses without leaving DNA all over the place.
And not go to a crime scene.
The question of how
that's the
something
point.
gets somewhere, that's the subject of the trial.
That's the point. We don't know if he went to the crime scene.
Right. But his
We don't
DNA
know.
is at the crime scene. We do know that.
Well, an object.
With his
Is-
DNA on it was at the crime scene.
Okay, but this is the problem. She should have argued that better. Right?
Yeah.
And this is what I'm grumpy at her.
Yeah.
Right? She should have argued that better, right? Because he's like, okay, well, if it's at a crime scene, he shouldn't have visited the crime scene. Right? But we don't know if he visited the crime scene.
Right.
Yeah? So
Yeah.
and bleh.
Cammy coming through here, giving out 5 of them. Everybody that's coming through here membered up tonight. Holy shit, you guys have blown my mind, actually. Giving out 5 more. Let's see if I can name these. Let's see if we can get these people in here real quick. Hold on. Let me give you one of these. First of all, welcome the hell in here.
Welcome to the party, pal.
And then Iowa's Backyard. Good name. Welcome in here. Robin V. Welcome in here. Southern Ball Mom. Get the hell in here. Elisa K. Welcome, welcome. And Booler. Everybody get the hell in here. Thank you so much for that, Cammy. I appreciate it. And let me get you on the wheel as well. And yeah, everybody hanging and banging here tonight on this. I appreciate it. And yeah, everybody that's staying cool and hanging out, I really appreciate it. And new folks, new members, go check out the video section because I got some stuff in there that's specific to you. But yeah, if you've subbed up and you're new here as well, welcome the hell in here. I appreciate it, guys.
I think the Carpenter case is really instructive for the court here, and that case was about, it was about third party with cell towers. And there was a
You
concurrent.
left your DNA on a soup spoon. Hopefully that soup spoon doesn't end up under a murder victim because you would be fucking arrested.
Exactly. They're very dangerous. Just like leather knife sheaths. I've been hurt on them several times.
Green opinion in that case, I think that's instructive. We leave DNA.
It would matter if the person
If you
was
carry
killed
a
with the
cell-
spoon, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we do have some people that were stabbed to death.
Exactly.
I mean-
Here's the thing, right? Okay, you tell me, these sheaths, aren't they supposed to be like on a belt?
Yeah, usually.
They're
I would
usually
think
on a
they'd be
belt, right?
looped through a belt or something, right? So they wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
fall off.
They wouldn't.
I do think that's odd. I do agree
The
with
whole
that.
story doesn't add up to me. It's like, okay, so I'm stabbing, and then I just go, whoops.
I mean, anything can happen in a frantic moment. I mean, are you kind of going down the path that it is completely framed by the police, even from the get-go?
I don't get, no. I just think that it's possible that this object has nothing to do with the crime. Just nothing. Like there is a knife sheath that's just in the room. Like it's just in the room. It's just an object in the room. Like I've got random objects in this room right now that they're just here. Like my daughter just accumulates things and like takes stuff apart and leaves the wrapping around, and like my dad, my uncles, like they've got tools that they've taken the wrappings off and left bits and pieces lying around. And you know what I mean? Like it doesn't, just because they were stabbed with a knife doesn't mean that that particular object must be related to the murder weapon. They don't have the murder weapon.
Yeah, they do not have the
They
murder.
never found it.
Right.
And did they just give up looking for it? Did they find this thing and go, oh, done, that's close enough?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd give it some weight because you have, again, 4 victims that were stabbed to death. You know, you find the knife sheath, and you're gonna follow up on any DNA that you find on that. I mean, I think it makes sense.
I think they've given it a bit too much weight, to be honest. Like, it's not the murder weapon.
But I mean, I get exactly what you're saying, but I don't fully agree, honestly. I think it has a lot of weight to it. So,
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. It's got enough weight for a jury.
That I
And I
absolutely
think
think that's one of my major
and-
stances is if it gets to juries, yeah, because
That's
they're
the
not going to
problem.
they're going to hear DNA and go, well, yeah,
DNA.
I'm with you there.
Nice sheath. It's enough to make a story up, right? It's and juries all they need is a story, right? We saw it in Richard Allen, right? All they need is a story. Ah, bridge guy, cool, sweet, buy that, yeah. So, knife sheath, done. It's enough to make the pieces fit in the juror's brain, and that's all you need. Yeah. So
Miss Pottage is going to come
concerns
through with a
me.
little bit of that conspiracy stuff real quick.
Okay.
Oh God, that's definitely part of the bullshit that fucks this entire thing up. What I just put on the fucking page there.
Hang on. Let me read it.
It's fucking retarded, is what it is.
No, she's a friend of mine. Let me see.
Well, that statement was retarded.
Okay. Well, can I read it though?
Yeah, I popped it back up there.
Okay. The K-bar was on camera weeks before crime. DM waving it around. Students wearing balaclavas, etc. Okay.
Yeah, talking about Dylan being a part of this is exactly what that's about.
No, I don't know.
It's
I don't
bullshit.
know, and I haven't.
It's insane.
And I haven't.
It's a
looked into that.
legend bullshit that they found from some other creator, I'm sure, that is pushing some bullshit for views. Come on.
I would say, Your Honor, that things like your movements, cell towers, the contents of your cell phone, those are really personal things. That's how you carry out your business. That's how you drive your car to go to the doctor. Your cell phone's heading on those towers. DNA is even more personal than that. The tests are so different than they used to be now. It can pick up all kinds of information. It takes very little DNA. DNA lives on surfaces a lot longer than fingerprints live on surfaces. So without more, they're not much of an indication of anything. There's a warrant requirement to protect people from unreasonable searches, and that's what we're asserting here. There's so much information contained in your DNA, and you can't stop from shedding that when you go out of your house. None of us can.
Fuck, Mandy. Buy some more. You're at Target.
To
Get
be
some more
able
AirPods.
to have that searched without a warrant could put anybody in jeopardy. There's no privacy left if that's going to be the standard. You put it in public so it can be searched. That can't be the standard. That would erode the Fourth Amendment. Our position is that there is an expectation of privacy that society is willing to accept. Our position is that there's case law that supports this. Maybe not exactly directly on point, but the court talked about one of the cases that we cited that's similar. It's out of Washington. In that case, it keyed on whether the
thanks everyone for these
database
shares
was
on
a
X, too. I appreciate
voluntary law enforcement can search this or not. In this situation, that's not the case. You know from the exhibit you have and from the testimony that you heard that the FBI went into 2 databases that they weren't permitted to search. So if the court wants to go clear to that extreme, and the court shouldn't, the court should look at the Fourth Amendment. The court should look at expectation of privacy. The court should look at the 3 places there was a warrant required and it wasn't given. But if the court wants to go all the way down to whether or not there was a database
Thompson over there
searched
stroking
where
his beard.
people consented to have their DNA searched, our case is different.
I did make one tweet. It was like,
Yeah.
I don't know at what point it happened. I think it's in this. He gets up and starts talking as well. And I was making a joke, but he's like, all right, I'm going to do this myself. Because he never does shit. He's always just chilling.
Well, he's the state's expert on everything.
Yeah. Well, I remember the interviews from him when the very beginning, when everything was happening, he would be interviewed by the news and shit. Old Bill Thompson.
Yeah, I went into 2 other
He's recovering from
databases and
Christmas.
searched those. There
He had a
was
big night.
nothing else happening
Well,
until
it's
that
February
happened.
now, so he should be fine.
And it's
That's why
instructive.
they had to push this out. This was probably scheduled around the
Yeah,
beginning
yeah,
of the
yeah.
year.
Well,
He's like, I don't
at
know.
one
Listen,
point-
Hippler. Listen, bud.
At one point, they were talking about November or December, and he was like, no, that's my busy time.
All right, that's hilarious. Everyone should have just looked. The fuck? Does Santa Claus work in Idaho?
No, I can't do that.
Santa Claus is trying to fucking put this man to death? Like, Jesus.
I think, and important for the court to think about how secretive this all was. We are months from trial, and we are learning things about how the government identified Bryan today in open court when we've asked for those things. There's a reason why there's so much secrecy. That's because there's a violation of privacy rights. That's why there's so much secrecy. Your Honor, this is an extremely important motion, and the court is going to decide whether we do have any expectation of privacy left or not. The IGG evidence in this case should absolutely be suppressed.
What's up, Gabby? What the fuck are you here? Hey, Gabby, if you didn't see Feral Friday last night, go and check that shit out on Feral Friday. No, you might have been in that. Last night was insane.
The state's going to raise an issue that you may need to respond to, but
We were
I'll
partying
let you
for like 4
respond to
hours
that
in there.
if they do raise that issue.
I'll be prepared, Your Honor. Thank you.
I'm gonna stop it.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm not. We don't have to go into the states shit. And but I do want to watch the second day because I saw a lot of people talking about the Payne's testimony, and he doesn't really know what the fuck's going on. It doesn't sound good. Those I don't remember the guy's name. It was somebody on X was posting about that. That doesn't sound good at all for Moscow Police Department. So.
Well, I mean, Detective Payne, he is most likely to be the main target of the Franks hearing, as in he wrote most of the search warrants, and the Franks hearing is basically an attack on the search warrants. So he really hopes that there won't be a Franks hearing, let's just say.
I bet so. I hope there is, dude.
Yeah.
I hope there fucking is. I want it more I want more in-depth shit to happen. Like,
wow, the motion for Franks, which is under seal, is 1,000 pages.
wow.
Yeah. So that's if there is a Franks hearing and we get to see it, which we should.
Yeah, I would hope so.
You would think so.
Well, I mean,
It's going to be huge.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I would be really intrigued to see that, and hopefully we get some kind of decision soon. It's been what has it been, a week, or is this 2 weeks ago now? This has been a minute.
No, this was a week ago.
9 days ago.
Yeah, so
a week and a half.
Look, I'm not surprised we haven't had decisions yet. The court has a lot of writing to do. There'll be, when the orders come out, there'll probably be quite a bit of, like, the documents will be quite hefty. So, yeah, I'm not really surprised. Now, the other thing is, what the court did say is that there would be, within 2 weeks, the closed portion of the hearing, so the morning part, we're going to get transcripts of it.
That's awesome. I am excited about that. I did like seeing that.
And it may take a little bit more than 2 weeks because both sides are going to get their chance to redact sections,
sensitive information,
but I'm pretty sure that's in response to the motion from the press, which came out the day before the hearing, when the press came forth and said, the public has a First Amendment right to know all this stuff and for us to report it. And at the time, Judge went, yeah, nah. And he's since come forth and gone, well, maybe.
I'm glad that he's changed his mind on that.
Well, I mean, I think probably in retrospect, he's gone, well, nothing really that terrible happened, and the transcripts could probably come out. So it's interesting. It's interesting he's done that. Probably do a bit of a dramatic reading.
Yeah. I think I might as well,
fun.
actually.
Yeah.
I'm bringing Dolly over specifically for that. I'm like, Dolly, I need your services, sir.
He's mine.
I'm like, dude, can I rent Dolly for an episode? No, I really like Dolly when he's reading that shit on there. He's actually getting better and better at it, dude. Last time I watched one of them, he was getting in there. I was like, damn, dude.
He's getting very good.
He goes full character, and he doesn't come out of character.
I know.
That's the way to do it, bro.
The problem is sometimes he ad libs and you don't know whether or not like it's still in.
If you're not if you're not reading along, you're just like, wait, what did he say?
I know. Hang on a minute. Did he really say that?
That's awesome. There he is, Dolly. Hey, make sure you follow
Hello.
Dolly Talk as well, man. I thought he portaled some people in here earlier. Thank you so much for that,
He did.
dude. I really appreciate that. And Hella and Dolly. Dolly's been on here once before. Hella's been on here once before. And I was telling Hella before we got on here, I don't do a lot of panel stuff because I have a lot of issues with my system. And tonight's actually been pretty sweet, knock on wood. And I did do a couple of things, so maybe I've fixed something. But when I get a lot of folks on here, my shit goes to hell. And I want some panels, man. I'd like to get a bunch of cool folks with some expert opinions and just bullshit and have some good ones, man. So yeah,
You need StreamYard. You need change.
Exactly that. Yeah, we were talking about StreamYard and seeing what you can do with StreamYard is actually making me think about it for real, because the reason I did the version I have is because you can manipulate it, and you can make it your own, where every time I would see anybody doing the StreamYard lives, it's always just the same look, and I hate that. But yours is very original, so I'm gonna look into it and see. I'll probably holler at you as well to get some help.
It's all right.
But now this has been fun, Hella, and yeah, man, hopefully we'll come back on here as we keep inching closer and closer to this trial and more shit's happening. Hopefully you'll keep coming through and hanging out with me, and we can keep shooting the shit, man.
Yeah, mate.
But yeah, this has been dope as hell. Down in the description, you should see her YouTube. You should see her X. I'm pretty sure those are in there. And make sure you're following Hella, man, because she covers a lot more than just this case. But yeah, she's a good one.
Yep.
One of the
I'm
good
about to do my weekly melody stream.
Oh, nice. Right after this?
Yep.
Hell yeah, nice. Well, shit, let me set it up. I'll portal right over there to you.
Please, yeah.
right
So you remember about 2-3 months ago there was a Melody Farris trial,
Yeah.
and then she went and in the sentencing she's like, "It was you, Scott. You murdered Big Daddy."
I've seen clips of that. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I didn't keep up with that
yeah.
one heavily, but I have seen those clips.
Yeah. Well,
Cool.
We didn't watch it at the time because like Sarah Boone was on and Rick Allen was
So
on,
much,
and
yeah.
like so much was happening. And so then like when the sentencing happened, we were just like, okay, need to watch this like in downtime. So we're watching it at the moment. We're watching it once a week, but sort of, whenever we got some spare time.
That's cool though, man. Hell, that's
Just for
the
a bit of
thing.
fun.
It's so hard to find time for all this shit. We were
Yeah.
talking about that as well, and yeah, I don't know. This is one that I'm the only two this year that I'm hardcore on is Courtney Clinty and Bryan Kohberger. So, and like I said, I just covered Natalie Cochran. So if other things come through that pique my interest, I will jump in and I'll be covering it. But these are the only two hardcore ones that I'm for sure doing. So,
Yeah.
and that I think that'll help my brain.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I don't know. It's so easy to just get caught up in all this shit. But now this has been dope. Hella, thank you so much.
That's been so much. Thank you for having me.
Dude,
Let's
yeah.
do this again soon.
Definitely. I think we are going to be doing some more Bryan Kohbergers. Hell, other cases as well, man. Hell, we'll get you on here on a kick party one time. I don't know. Well, that's the time.
yay.
The time is so fucked though. Like, if I had you on here for like a Friday night, what is that for you? That's like midday Saturday.
No, your night times are all right.
Will
It's
that be all
just
right?
your daytimes I can't do.
Dude,
yeah.
maybe we could watch like, oh no, we'll do that'd be cool, man. Because on Fridays we just
Yeah.
hang pretty hard. I don't really do nothing too serious. So
Yeah. No, night times are fine. It's just like, because your night times are my daytimes.
Right.
Basically. Yeah. It's just your daytimes I'm asleep.
okay, cool. Yeah, we'll work that out, man. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Get you and Dolly both on here or something, hanging out and
Yeah.
figure something out. But yeah, Hella, thank you so much.
works.
Everybody right now, you are about to be teleported over to Hella's stream.
I better go.
Real plug, real quick. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm having Lauren Conlon on here. We're talking Jeffrey Epstein. We're going to be getting deep into those crimes. She's in the heart of New York City. She covered that one pretty closely. It's going to be good. And then tomorrow, I've got a video coming out on my second channel, the wrestling channel. Should be coming out about 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So I've got some more stuff happening. We're rocking and rolling. You're going to Hella right now. Excited utterance.
Bye.
Thank you, Hella. Love you. Boom.
This person